Good Friday morning to you. It is October the 3rd. Welcome back to the Faith in Formation podcast. And guess what? Today, Brother Sam is with me again. How's it going, brother?
Back. Yes. Very happy to be here.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Almost
Absolutely.
the weekend. Looking forward to
Yes.
that. I'm sure you teens are looking forward to a nice little weekend as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And then another week from now, you'll get a long weekend. So another something to look forward to.
True.
Yeah.
True. Actually, today for our teens, for those that are involved in sports, actually, we have a tournament
That's
going
right.
on.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, good luck to all you guys on that.
thank you. Appreciate that.
Win many games, many trophies. Destroy the other team.
Yes, that's the plan. That is the plan.
And good
Anyways,
Christian love, of course.
in Christian love, yes. Yes, it is Friday. Welcome back to the podcast. Wherever you're joining us from today, we are looking at 2 Samuel chapter 9. And the title here of the devotional is An Enemy's Kindness. And we'll look at that there. Brother Sam has a few thoughts for us. But before we get there, let's go ahead and look at our memory verse for this week. It is Psalm 84 and verse 11. Psalm 84, verse 11. For the Lord is a sun and shield. The Lord will give grace and glory. No good thing will he withhold from them that walk uprightly. Psalm 84, verse 11. Hopefully that can be a help and a blessing to you this week. All right, 2 Samuel chapter 9, An Enemy's Kindness. Brother Sam, what did you see in this chapter?
Yeah, even before I get going on that, I was going to point this out yesterday and I didn't. I'm just going to point out real quick and go on a rabbit trail for a few seconds. Just the memory verse for this week, Psalm 84:11.
Sure.
I love the second part of that verse. No good thing will he withhold from them that walk uprightly. That's a wonderful promise.
Yeah.
And time and time again, we can see that true in our lives. If we just do what's right and walk uprightly, God will bless. Sometimes in hard times, we might not see it in the moment, but looking back over the years, it becomes more and more evident that God does bless and does not withhold good things from us when we are doing what we should. So just great encouragement from that verse right there. Okay, now on to the verse of the day, which is 2 Samuel 9 and verse 13. And that verse states, So Mephibosheth dwelt in Jerusalem, for he did eat continually at the king's table. All right, so Brother Andrew, can you give us a little backstory of who this Mephibosheth is? That's
sure.
a great long name that I almost mess up every time when I'm talking. I have to be very careful with how I place my tongue to say his name. But
you got to shape those sounds well. Yeah, sure. So Mephibosheth, I did it myself. Let's try that again.
Yeah.
Mephibosheth here is a relative of King Saul. So in this chapter here, David is now reigning, and Mephibosheth is Saul's grandson. So this is Jonathan's son. And so here, we'll get into it a little bit, but that's who Mephibosheth is, and he's dwelling in Jerusalem and eating at the king's table, who is King David. So that's a little bit about who Mephibosheth is.
Yeah, so Mephibosheth this is Saul's grandson. This is Jonathan's son. So yeah, you guys know Jonathan and David. They had a very close friendship. So if we go back, let's backtrack a little bit to the beginning of 2 Samuel 9. David is basically going around and asking of people, is there anybody left of Saul's family that's still alive? And normally when a king would be asking that, that is not good. If you hear from your friends and neighbors, hey, the current king is asking if you're still alive, if your family's still alive, because anybody back in that day that was of the old reign of whatever the former king. Yeah, I was trying to think if there was a term for that, but the previous heir, to the throne, if that line was cut off or whatever, if there's any family remaining, usually it's not like what we're used to here in the US, and whoever loses, they go out and have their separate political career, and maybe they go and run for a governor's office, or they retire in a big mansion or somewhere.
Right.
No, most of the time those people would be killed by the next administration.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was very normal back then that would happen. So first part of David's sentence in verse 9 or chapter 9 verse 1 is very normal. In asking, is there any yet that is left of the house of Saul? That's a normal thing a king would ask. But the second part is very different, which says that I may show kindness for Jonathan's sake. So David's looking and is saying, I had such a strong friendship with Jonathan. Yes, he was the son of Saul who hated my guts and tried to kill me on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
But I really want to just see if there's anybody left of Jonathan's house that I can basically honor and be kind to this person. And so he goes around and there's a servant of Saul's house named Ziba, and the Ziba is I was just reading this verse, and this is quite interesting. Ziba had a very busy life, I'm sure, because he had, I think it said 20 servants and also 15 sons. That's just sons. He probably had some daughters too. So man had a very busy, probably loud household
Oh,
growing up.
probably. Yeah.
But anyway, so David talks to Ziba and asks, "Hey, is there anybody left of Jonathan's household?" And he says, "Well, yes, actually, Mephibosheth is still alive." And so David finds Mephibosheth, and Mephibosheth basically is thinking he's about to die. And
Yeah.
David says, "Fear not. I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to restore all the land of Saul thy father, and you're going to be able to eat at my table." And then also says, like, "Oh yeah, and Ziba and all his 15 sons and all of Ziba's servants, basically all of them are going to be your servant and your family servants." So in a matter of a couple of hours,
Yeah.
Mephibosheth here just inherits like a whole, basically, butlers and maids and
Yeah.
cooks and everything that.
And land.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So this guy probably went from rags to riches, from probably
Yeah.
fleeing in terror from the new quote unquote administration, the new king.
Yeah.
And David, for Jonathan's sake, just is blessing him. So yeah, I'm sure Mephibosheth was stunned. It was more than what he could have, dreamed of, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If you read in the passage there, it talks about him like falling on his face in front of David. Once, oh no, David's found me, right?
Right.
And so when he approaches him, he falls on his face, just thinking this is it, right? And then David just hits that, Uno reverse card, you might say, and shows all this kindness to him instead. And I think it's really a testament to David.
Yeah,
And I was thinking of Christ sharing the story of the Good Samaritan. And the Samaritan here, he's showing kindness to this man that he doesn't know this man, right? But he needs help. He's been beat up, he's on the side of the road, he needs help. And so the Good Samaritan does that. That obviously is a great act of kindness he gives to him. But then I thought to do that same thing to help someone who is, in many people's eyes, your enemy
right.
is even another level. And David here is helping Mephibosheth and giving him all these things, like you said. And his grandfather, Saul, chased him for years,
Right.
trying to kill him. This is his direct descendant. He's taken the throne from him. By most people's account, this should be his enemy, should absolutely be his enemy. And yet he shows all this kindness to him. What a challenge for us today to be kind, to show kindness to those, even if they're ones that um, maybe we don't like so much,
Mhm.
or some people might consider them an enemy of ours in some way,
Right.
right? We can still show kindness to them. And I think that David really gives us a great example of that here in this passage. I think that maybe one of the biggest ways we can do that in today's culture is by giving respect. Giving respect. It doesn't have to be that we, give them a 10-acre farm or whatever, but give them respect. A lot of people won't give the time of day to those they don't care about or don't, like or look to or whatever it is. They don't show respect to another common human being on this
Yeah,
earth.
that's a good point, brother Andrew. That's a really good point.
Yeah, just giving respect. Hey, treat them like they're also a person just like you
Right.
are, giving them the time of day, allowing them to share their thoughts here and there, having a conversation and just treating with general respect,
Right.
not speaking down, condescending, those type
Yeah.
of things.
If they're a Christian, they are your brother or sister in Christ,
Yeah.
created in the image of God. And if they're not saved, then that's another reason that you should be looking towards them to try to be a good testimony to them, to try to point them to Christ, to be a reflection of Him, like we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so here we see David showing kindness to someone who, by most accounts, was his enemy. So then the question falls to us: how do we treat those that, well, I mean, the ones that we do know well and like, but then also those that we don't know so well, and also those that maybe would be even considered an enemy. How do we treat them?
Mhm.
The Bible tells us to be ye kind, right? Be ye kind. And just like the man who asked Christ, "Who's my neighbor?" And Christ, essentially told him, "Well, that's everyone."
Right.
Just like the story of the Good Samaritan, he helped someone he didn't know. That's my neighbor. Who I'm supposed to be kind to all of them and forgive and all of those type of things.
And fitting in perfectly with today with the Valley Tournament, sportsmanship. That fits in
What a great
just
point.
just with that. Like
Yeah,
you were saying, having respect. Hey, these people that you guys are competing against today, they're competing against us, right? Have the same purpose. They want to
right,
win,
right.
right? But we can respect them, respect the refs.
Yeah,
Um, all of us are not perfect.
right.
But yeah, that's a great way to get really down to how can we apply this specifically today. Try to think about that.
Yeah.
Try to think about how you can respect those on the court, on the field.
Very good point. And they're not necessarily an enemy, but they're an opponent,
Right.
right? And so treating them with that same respect that we should have for all of them. What a great point. All right. Well, as you go to prayer here today, remember to pray for your church today. Think about those in your church. Maybe you can mention some specifically. Mention your pastor, whoever it might be. Pray for your church, the ministries, those type of things that go on. Spend a little extra time with that. And also, we want to pray for Kiana this morning, one of our teens. I just mentioned her in your prayers as well. One thing I want to mention before we go is that you can actually, I learned this recently, you can leave comments on these
Oh,
podcast
can you
uploads.
really?
You can.
See, this is news for me as well.
Yeah.
I might leave a comment for
Yeah.
myself for next week.
Yeah. Great job, brother Sam, from Sam. So if you'd like, leave a comment below. Tell us, what you're thinking, what a short testimony, maybe any of those things, leave it below. We'd love to hear what you're thinking about the podcast. And with that, we want to thank you all for joining us here this morning on the Faith and Formation podcast. We'll see you next time.